right, a live look at the Supreme Court at this hour, where justices just wrapped arguments in a pair of challenges to President Biden's $400 billion student loan handout. Let's bring in Dave Rubin, host of the Rubin Report. Thank you very much for joining us, David. So they've taken up Biden's student loan plan. It's estimated this handout will cost about $400 billion. But it'll be a huge test of the limits of presidential power. How do you see this?
Well, I'm not a constitutional lawyer, but I have talked to a couple of constitutional lawyers, and nowhere in the Constitution does it say that the President of the United States, who's in charge of the executive wing, I mean, he's supposed to sign bills into law. Congress is supposed to write them, and then he's supposed to sign them. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say he can just wipe out massive debt of any kind, right? I mean, I've got 28 years left on a 30-year mortgage. I would love if the president could just sign something and wipe that out. But he can't do that either. I mean, the bizarre notion here is somehow that the president should be king and should be able to decide who all the winners and losers are. You know, people seem to think, or at least the Democrat line on this, is that this would somehow really help poorer people. But there are plenty of middle class, upper middle class, and upper class kids who go to, say, Syracuse at about $65K a year, rack up about $300,000 of college debt, and the president should be able to wipe that away. I mean, there's a moral argument, but then, of course, what you're talking about is the legal argument, and I just don't see how the Supreme Court could possibly back this thing. It's simply not written in the Constitution. Yeah, and
here's the way the Nebraska Attorney General is taking this on. In a lawsuit against the administration over these student loans. Why we're challenging Biden's student debt power grab. The president cannot have it both ways. The Nebraska AG says he can't tell the country the pandemic is over while claiming that it justifies this unilateral action. And by the way, a reminder of Nancy Pelosi. Rewind to 2021 when she said this.
People think that the President of the United States has the power for debt forgiveness. He does not. He can postpone, he can delay, but he does not have that power. That has to be an act of Congress.
Well, and here we are today, Dave.
I can't believe I'm on Fox News saying that I agree with Nancy Pelosi. Hell must have frozen over here. I'm not even sure he can delay it or anything else she said there. But yes, we all know that the president doesn't have this power technically. The real question here is what pressure will the court face and how sort of liberally will they look at the law? But this is a really, really dangerous precedent that basically any mistake that you make, or not even a mistake, I mean, people willingly get into debt to go to college with the hope of getting the good job and accomplishing what they want to in life. Sometimes that happens, sometimes that doesn't. But if you think the president is the one that's supposed to bail you out, I mean, in general, we've become too accustomed to bailouts as is. There's a real problem here. And again, it's going to end up helping a bunch of people who, by the Democrats' own argument, don't deserve the help. I'm personally for equality, not equity, but that would be their argument.
Many instances of policies enacted by this administration or hurting the very people they say they're out to help the most. In case in point, inflation, that is hurting the lower income earners in this country more than anyone. This is far-left Democrat Ilhan Omar. Today, backing the president's right to forgive loans. Here you go.
So the question today is, does the President of the United States have the power, the legal right to cancel student debt? To that we say, yes.
And to that point, David, there's no question this can be very politically popular, and this is a president who is likely, perhaps soon, to announce that he's running for president again.
I mean, it's just such a clownish thing that Omar did there, right? She's not saying anything having to do with what the Constitution actually says or whether it's legal or not or whether he has that power. She's basically doing what progressives seem to do with everything, which is we want it a certain way, thus we will figure out a way to exercise power in that manner. She's not making an argument that it is constitutionally legal to do so. She's just saying, hey, this is what we want. And then she gets all her supporters to clap like seals. Oh, She said yes, we say yes. It's just nonsense. We've got to be a little bit more mature when dealing with these things. But you know what? If this thing doesn't happen, right? So if they don't get rid of the student debt, Ilhan Omar and the rest of the squad and much of the media will be screaming this is just another reason to burn down the court. So in their way, because they want to burn down the system, so to speak, they're going to get a win out of this either way. Either they get the debt relief, as unjust as that may be, or they get just more fuel for their attack on the institutions.
David Rubin, thank you so much for joining us on all of that. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. If you're looking for more honest and thoughtful conversations about politics instead of mindless drivel, check out our politics playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, watch our full episode playlist, all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.